Okay, so I'm starting a new video, a new reading. This is part two. Now, the Cambridge fans have become part of the Nexus. And as I've explained in the past, the Nexus is what ends up influencing the world. Now, meaning that if they if they've become a part of the Nexus, they will not allow in the spiritual realm other people to speak the truth, and that includes the staff members. Now, again, because the spiritual realm is becoming more prominent, is coming on board, the staff members do not just represent themselves, like they're not just the staff. The staff represents, in the context of the spiritual identity of the royals, just like the royal family in the physical realm, they have global influence. They also have widespread influence spiritually. What does this mean? Those who are connected to this nexus in the spiritual realm will get to influence them in one way or another. Just like the Sussex squad influencing Harry to become more petulant, more petty, more evil, which he wasn't before to that extent at least, but he became like it because of the support for him and for Meghan Markle. So he changed. In doing so, his spiritual he's looking at it on the physical, like even if you don't believe in the spiritual realm, ask yourself, what physical influence does Harry have? Don't lie to yourself. He does have some physical influence, right? Therefore, imagine that physical influence reflected in the realm of the spirit. That means whatever his spiritual attitude is, that spiritual attitude is going to influence people in the spiritual realm, the spirits of people who look up to him. So if that's exactly what I mean about the nexus, it being a nexus, it influences people at a global level and at a deeper level than even people on the surface in the physical realm can see or can ever know. So meaning that the people who can see the spiritual energy of Harry and who buy into it, who choose to feel for Harry or Meghan, who choose to feel on their behalf, they inhabit that energy and they end up, unbeknownst to them, whether consciously or unconsciously, they end up behaving in that manner. Yeah. They end up exercising that similar behavior. So that's why you might see a lot more people being selfish around the world. That's because whether they are so familiar with the royal family or not, it doesn't matter. They've bought into that spirit, that spiritual energy that Harry holds. Likewise for Meghan Markle with the Sussex squad, hence why they have become worse, and likewise she also. So therefore, when it comes to the Cambridges, now, if you notice, Meghan Markle has been quite silent over the past, relatively anyway, she's been silent over the past few months, but the Cambridges have not. They have come on board, meaning that the fans also who have been supporting them, regardless of anything they might be doing in the spiritual realm, And here's another thing again. I'm not condemning people like the Cambridge fans who did not see what the Cambridges were doing. What I'm pointing out, highlighting, is the Cambridge fans who, when you look into the spiritual realm, when you open up the cards, when you question the spirits, they will tell you, like the spirits will let you know that they are standing up for the Cambridges, regardless of what the Cambridges would do. Like that's the energy that you get from them. So meaning that whatever ends up taking place in the physical realm, even if at some point or on a certain issue, the Cambridges end up becoming worse or doing worse than Meghan Markle would, these people would still support them. Which, when you think of karma, when you think of morality, it doesn't work, which again touches on the issue of karma. That how do you want karma when you're willing to support, even aside from the Cambridges, but no one should really support someone regardless of what evidence gets brought up. Like, that's not on. It shows that you are for the person and not for what the person, not for whatever truth the person holds to their heart. So it shows a bias. It shows a bias. It's almost like a tribalistic bias, which can never work because it means you're holding on to a person's identity over the truth or over what society considers the truth. But at the same time, you're trying to hold Meghan Markle to a certain standard of what you consider to be the truth and to the standard of what the society considers to be the truth. But you don't want to examine yourself as well to see if you, in your heart, or to see if the Cambridges match, or the royal family, or anyone really matches up to that same truth. So it's very hypocritical, which is why karma cannot just be linear, as the royal family or the Cambridge fans seem to think or expect, that it's going to hit Meghan Markle only. It's not. It's pure delusion to think that she is going to be affected alone. Those who refuse to see the truth about the people who have been supporting Meghan Markle in the background, they also will get that karma. Now, going back to the nexus, the spiritual nexus, and what does this have to do with the year 2021? The year 2021, the reason for the latter part exposing so many things would be because there's been throughout the year anyway, but it's going to like build up, really. It's been building up and it will erupt in the latter part of the year. The reason for it erupting would be because of the clashes, spiritual clashes that have been taking place between those who know, like tarot readers, light speakers, light seekers, versus the Meghan Markle fans, the Cambridge fans. Yeah. So on the surface, these groups of people may think they are not similar, but they are. They have been for quite some time now because they're willing to support whoever they look up to, regardless of the circumstances. Regardless of whatever truth has been exposed or whatever thing has come up, they're willing to look past it in favor of support. Yeah. Of, that kind of almost like tribal instinct. So it's going to show up. So now the reason I'm mentioning all of this is because it matters for the kind of energy that will show up, that will be brought up. There's going to be a lot of hypocritical energy. I mean, it goes beyond hypocrisy. And again, when you're watching my videos, try to watch them over and over again to understand, because I understand that I go into a lot of things, into a lot of detail, but that's because it matters to understand certain things and people's behaviors. Because in me mentioning the nexus and talking about it is because it is what drives the things that happen in the world, for one. Secondly, it influences not just governments, but people, individuals, like at a micro level, meaning that it will also influence your family members or your friends. So if you, in this latter part of the year, you are picking up that someone is changing, they're becoming a lot more spiteful. Like, there's no reason, absolutely no reason for why they should be this spiteful. It's because of what I've mentioned. Like, that's exactly it. So don't pretend. And in saying the word pretend, it's not to blame you, it's not to condemn you, but don't pretend as if you can't see where it might be coming from. And I'm speaking for those watching these videos. If you can pick up, a person being very antagonistic for no reason whatsoever. Like, even if it's your best friend, you know, you search yourself and you know that you haven't done anything wrong. But for one reason, for some reason, you keep picking up an antagonistic spirit and energy. And it's almost as if you can't put a foot right with this person. It's because of this energy. As far-fetched as it might seem on the surface, it is not so far-fetched in the spiritual realm. Because bearing in mind again, the spiritual realm is like the roots of the tree. You may not know what roots, the kind of roots that are interlinked. So your friend may be so abstract from what is happening in the royal family on the surface, but that's on the surface. Spiritually, they have plugged in enough to be getting affected by this spiteful energy that is coming across as a result of um the Cambridges in the spirits in the private time, and increasingly physically becoming more spiteful, becoming more manipulative, becoming more disdainful of the public. So, meaning that you wouldn't need to see any proof of the Cambridges misbehaving. Like, I don't know how to explain it. If you wouldn't need to see any proofs of the Cambridges misbehaving or even the Ross misbehaving, any physical proof, I mean, so long as if you can pick up in your spirit, in the spiritual realm, that this is what is going on, that there's a kind of spitefulness that is coming from your family or that is coming from your close friends. Yeah. But what I'm seeing is especially the dynamics between close friends. Yeah. That being affected, not so much family. And that's again because of what's taking place in the within the royal family. You know, despite what's taking place, like on the outside, the fighting, the bickering, but in on the inside spiritually they're still quite bound, they're still quite close. So the kind of schisms in terms of family members, uh the schisms is not going to happen, not quite yet. Yeah, because again, that nexus, the spirit, the royal family isn't um breaking apart, not so much as a when it comes to friendships, which is what has tended to happen between the Cambridge, like the Cambridges, with even their friends, the close associates, who I have to say, they've pushed under the bus in an attempt to um defend Meghan Markle and Harry and sort of whitewash them. Yeah. Yeah. So this card coming out again and this card coming out again. So it's confirmation that because my question, so as I was shuffling, I was just thinking, what if people wake up? If people wake up, so it's kind of like the reverse, you know. So earlier on, this card was here, but the reverse is like dark energy that people would wake up. Even if people wake up, they would still have to go through. Because in watching this video, you might think, or even in your private time, you might think that, can't I escape seeing the truth or getting to know what is really going on within this family or with these people? But you can't. You won't be able to. If you try to escape it, you would still be like sitting on the truth, like this elderly person. Yeah. So back to what I was saying in the beginning of the video, the first one. Now, the bits of karma will come through for people who in the spiritual realm have been sitting on the truth. So that's in a nutshell, like as clearly as I can put it. People who have been sitting on the truth, that's who the karma will come to. So if you've been sitting on the truth so far, in one way or another, and I don't think I need to go into detail, your conscience will let you know if you've been sitting on the truth. Sitting on the truth doesn't have to be, again, as some people might want to deceive themselves as they're watching this. Sitting on the truth doesn't have to be that you consciously let yourself know that I hate the truth. That's not it at all. Sitting on the truth can be that before somebody even speaks, if you know what they're about to say, you just shut them off, whether or not you have agreed with them in the past. Yeah. Even for me, there might be some people that I would shut off. There's nothing wrong with that because you're being honest with yourself. You don't want to hear it. But when I do that, I am honest with myself that I don't want to hear them because I've already seen my truth. Now, in watching it, you might say, well, that's your truth. Absolutely. I don't disagree with that it's my truth. Who I am targeting is people who they know that it is their truth, but they don't admit it to themselves. They pretend that it is the whole truth. They pretend that it is a universal truth that everybody knows and agrees with, or that everybody should agree with. They won't acknowledge that it is their truth. You know, even people who are Cambridge fans, but who they are willing to admit to themselves that, oh yeah, no, I support the Cambridges because it's my truth. They are going to be spared. For now, they're going to be spared because to them, and to the spiritual realm, they are very much being honest with themselves. They admit that it is the truth. They're not trying to pretend that it is the truth. And in fact, in admitting that it is the truth, they are then at liberty to criticize Meghan Markle because what they are comparing her against is the truth. And they acknowledge that it is the truth. But to those who pretend that they are not being biased, and it's not the truth. They say it like, it's not my truth. I'm not being biased. I'm just merely saying the truth. That is when the karma will come. And the kind of karma like I've described before, that you would pick up also the karma of the grievances of what the Cambridges themselves have done in the physical, even though you were not a part of it, what they did physically. And by that I mean even the karma, like the cries of the babies that they have offended. Yeah. So in terms of karma, or like the latter part of the year, definitely picking up gross hypocrisy. A lot of let me describe what I'm picking up. Now, I'm picking up a kind of like a barrier, of these young people that I was mentioning earlier on in the first video. These young people, as well as the Cambridge fans, both of them. Again, in watching this, try not to limit myself, try not to limit the cards, try not to limit yourself to what you see on the surface. Because you may watch this and think, surely it can't be true. There are all kinds of evil politicians. So why is it these two groups of people that karma is going to hit first? That is because the spiritual realm does not see outright evil as being on its own. Evil becomes evil, or evil gets worse because of the people that support it. And the people that support evil are those who pretend that they are not being biased when they're speaking the truth. It's people who pretend a lot. So therefore, if you want to talk about karma, if you want karma to hit these politicians, karma is first going to hit the people who support the politicians, which is people who purport to know the difference between good and evil, but they are selective about what they call evil. Like when something happens that is outrightly evil, even based on their own standards, they find ways of going around it and not calling it evil. And so in doing so, they end up calling good evil and evil good. So I hope you can see where I'm going with this. Evil is not just going to be dealt with in the way that you believe it would. It will be dealt with in the way that People who have been supporting the evil, but they've tried to pretend that they're not supporting it. They try to pretend that they are neutral, that they are non-biased. They will still get hit. So those are the first ones and the most prominent ones that have to be dealt with. Also, mainly because when once they get dealt with, those who are like these politicians, these businessmen, whoever you have in mind, these people who are outrightly evil, like the pedophiles, all of them, when they see that the support base is getting hit, they will have remorse. Again, it sounds far-fetched, but evil is very cowardly. Evil is very cowardly. It doesn't stand on its own. It stands through support of people, support of the masses, support of the more neutral people. People who don't want to know or who don't want to grasp the truth, but on the surface pretend that they are all about the truth. Those are the ones who keep pushing forward the agenda of the evil people. So when they get dealt with, the evil people would repent because they'd have remorse because and they would change their ways. Yeah. Again, it sounds far-fetched, but it's not. Evil is not that powerful. It's only able to exercise its power because of and it bears repeating. So for don't mind me repeating it. It only is able to exercise this much power because of the neutrals, the middle ground people who willingly or um in their heads or in their spirits are allowing them to do the evil, but give them a cloak, like a veneer of normality. They try to normalize that kind of evil because they have their biases. They don't want to admit that the evil is evil. They want to cloak it in with excuses. Yeah. Yeah. Whereas, there's such evil that no excuses can cover them. No excuses can cover them up. But it doesn't stop middle ground people from indulging in those excuses. And the middle ground people that I'm speaking of, what has been happening again, with the cards I used in that video in the beginning of the year for 2021, the cards very much showed a progression. It's like darkness, a little bit of darkness in the beginning of the year, to a neutral energy in the middle of the year, to then a contrasting in the darkness at the end of the year. Because with a lot of things happening, what has been the purpose, the intention of, I guess, the angels, spiritual beings, the divine, has been to separate, to deal with the middle ground people, i.e., the support base of evil, of the outright evil. Now, within the middle ground people, that support base, there are those who did not know, who were middle ground people unknowingly. They didn't know that that is what they were supporting. So hence why lots of things being exposed throughout the year, from the beginning of the year till today, being exposed so that in different ways, from the macro to the micro, through individuals, their friends, their best friends, whatever it might be, things being shown that these individuals will get to know that, wait, what I've been supporting, it wasn't right. Let me change courses. Yeah, let me change my way. As opposed to people who are now willing middle ground people who they know that something is not right. They know that something is not evil, but they prefer to stay on that lane, on that course. Those are the ones who have been truly defending the evil that we now see in the world. So what has been happening mainly is a calling, like a separation between those who were like unwittingly middle ground, unwittingly serving as a support base, unwittingly supporting evil. They will be uh they'll be removed from the karma because they didn't know. Again, that video I did on 2021 touched on the fact that knowledge, there was a card that talked on knowledge. Knowledge is what breeds enlightenment. Knowledge is what breeds changes, growth, a shift in the spiritual realm. And that's exactly what is happening. That's exactly what will continue to happen. So, for the fact that now what is been happening, these middle ground people have been getting exposed. um it means those who will be left in the middle ground, and I'll describe the kind of behavior, that kind of mentality again, like I've said before, the mindset of, even in the midst of something that is obviously wrong, something that they could obviously call out as being unfair, as being unfairness, they will not call it out. They'll make excuses. Or even if they call it out, you can feel that the energy is not really into it. They'll call it out more like as a rite of passage, as if just to fulfill all righteousness. Whereas when it comes to something else, somebody else, maybe like Meghan Markle, you can feel the venom, you can feel the passion, you can feel the genuine energy behind the words, behind the criticism or the support, whatever it might be. But you just feel it, that they are into it, that that's the intention. Whereas when they are supporting evil, or rather, when they are, in quotes, chastising someone who has done evil, they would still make excuses. So you can pick up that the intention deep down, like in the spirit, and again, I've said the spiritual realm is coming on board. So it's really the intention that will speak the loudest above the words. The intention will scream loud and clear that they don't really mean what they're saying. That even though they are saying, for example, okay, I'll touch on Meghan Markle. Even though they may be saying, yeah, Meghan Markle, she's not being completely honest. Yeah, I don't think I like her anymore. You won't feel the passion behind their words. It's more like they're saying it because the tide has changed. You won't feel that they are being genuine. And this is one thing that I really want to come to. For people who practice that kind of behavior, you need to stop. The currency of the world in which we're heading into, is genuineness, if that's a word. A person being genuine, it's no longer going to be about money or just money. It's, let me say, 20% money, 80% being genuineness. So you're going to have to be genuine, even if, and this may sound weird, but even if it is you being genuine in your evil, or in the evil you want to support, be genuine in that. Admit that you want to support them because you like them, because you love to support them. Don't try to play the field. So, because with the effect, and I've spoken about this before, with the effects of COVID, what COVID has done, it's opened people's eyes to what matters to them. Meaning that where we're heading into, you will not be able to, and I feel the need to emphasize this, you will not be able to bully people into supporting you, into supporting your business. It's not going to work anymore. These trends of canceling people, bullying people, it's no longer going to work, at least as well as you think it does. What is going to work? What is going to, people are going to become so, again, because the spiritual is going to come on board, people's intention, so in other people's intentions to be individualistic, will take the upper hand above even the trending, or the trying to pressure them to change or to support you or to support your business. Meaning that if that is the case, no government diktat, no government law is going to get them to change their behavior. Is going to get them to change their stance. I mean, you can see it with COVID, right? With COVID, despite, regardless of the government regulations, there are some shop owners, or there are some shops who the owners would say you have to wear a mask before you come in, regardless of what the law shows, or vice versa. Literally meaning that, and you won't be able to complain because it's the store, and not only is it their store, but they have put the stamp of their own health. So they've prioritized something that is dear to everybody. Because who doesn't care about health, right? Who doesn't care about their health? Meaning that the paradigms that had been built during the COVID period, the paradigm of health, is going to backfire on people have who think that forcing other people to bend to their will is the way to go. It's not going to hurt. It's never going to work. Not any longer. Like, people are going to take matters into their own hand, and they will make the decisions that benefit them or benefit their health. And health can be described in many ways. It can also encompass mental health, meaning that if a person sees you as being disingenuous, they will wrap it up as being detrimental to their mental health, and they will avoid doing business with you. They will avoid supporting you. And even as I'm saying this, it may feel surreal, like this girl is talking nonsense, but you'll see it come to pass and you will not be able to do anything about it. You'll never be able to do anything about it because things are changing. The spiritual realm is coming on board. So you have to be careful about where you stand. So long as you are being genuine in, even if it's your evil, at least these people, even if it's good people will know where you stand. So therefore, they'll even be able to do business with you. Because, it's one thing to know that a person is confused, and therefore you avoid them. You try to avoid them because it's like, if they are confused even about the way they feel about you, then you also want to be, or you also want to act confused just to keep them off your energy. Likewise, evil people who own up to their evil, they will become, or they are, easier to work with, especially when it comes to money. Evil people are much more straightforward and direct. They'd say, like, oh yeah, I want money, so we don't get along. In fact, I hate you, I don't like you. So therefore, in fact, let's draw up a contract because clearly we do not trust each other. But I still want to do business because I like your business, I like what you do. They are so much more straightforward, and therefore things move easily. There's less confusion, there's less toxicity, there are less headaches because you know where you stand with them. And that is the future in which we're moving forward into. That is what things happening at the end of this year will show to other people. People who are are not evil, who've not been supporting evil, but are still trying to make up their minds about where to stand, whether on the side of good or whether on the side of evil people. But the stand they're going to take, they're not going to take a stand of, okay, I support only good people. No, the stance that they're going to take is, I support people who are willing to be straightforward with me. So all I'd like to say to people watching these videos is, be or become as straightforward as possible. And you might think, oh, I'm already straightforward. If that is the case, like if you really think that, okay, but examine yourself when it comes to these two subjects, but especially when it comes to the Cambridge family. Yeah. Regardless of what your nationality is, it doesn't matter. If you're watching this and you're willing to acknowledge what I've seen in the cards, what I've seen in the cards is that the Cambridge family, they are very much neutral when it comes to a pretense of being good, of being trustworthy, of being trusting. Therefore, if they are a standard, if they are the standard, right, like that the whole world sees, or that people in positions of power see as being neutral or being able to do business with, then measure yourself against that standard of the Cambridges. Yeah, you want to measure yourself because spiritually, if you vibe with them, it's okay. It's fine to vibe with them so long as you acknowledge that that's what you want to do. But if you had not acknowledged it to yourself, and you had actually been in a subliminal manner pretending that you're actually, you know, you you're not with them or whatever, then it's going to backfire. So use this method um to see whether you're being straightforward with yourself or not. Yeah. So I say all this to say that things are going to become a lot more complicated, a lot more complex in terms of relationships with one another, relationships with people. You might want me to do a reading on politics. I will do that when the time comes. I definitely will. But I cannot escape the fact that the fact of the world we're going into, where even politics will not be based on the usual paradigms of before. Again, just think of how much COVID, before you knew it, COVID changed your life. COVID changed reality, where people became so antagonistic towards each other. I mean, who would ever have thought we'd be wearing masks so much? Who would ever have thought that people would be fighting, for toilet paper? Who would ever have thought these things? This is that's the kind of mindset I want like you guys to carry. People have been changing paradigms. Therefore, paradigms have been changing, which means you cannot hold on to the whole, okay, because I want tarot readers to read on politics and who is going to win this political race. That's the only thing I'm going to look into. That's the only thing I want to see in the readings. You shouldn't do that, because otherwise you're going to fall into the trap of the wrong energy and you would remain stuck in there. You might think you can pull yourself out, but you won't, because what's happening is, again, there's intensive spiritual energy building up happening. These politicians that you want to see, you want to look into, they have been into spiritual activities. Not all of them negative spiritual activities, but most of them. So the fact that you want to see what is going to happen with them on the physical plane does not mean that is what you actually need. It also does not mean you're going to be abstract or you're going to be spared from whatever they're doing. Because you might think, I'm just a citizen. It doesn't matter what this politician does in the darkness with witchcraft. It doesn't matter to me. But, do you really think if a politician gets to know that they can do witchcraft, do you really think they would spare you? Whether you're the citizen, of course they won't spare you. They will try to do things like, let everybody in this country be under my control. Let whatever I say, they do spells like, whatever I say, let people follow without questioning. Things like those. So you cannot and should not be blind to the fact that you're a potential sitting duck for witchcraft activities. Don't be blind to that so that you won't be blindsided. Yeah. So that's about it. I hope I didn't, jump from point to point and that this was uh pretty coherent. If it wasn't or it isn't, do let me know. Um and I'll explain. I'll try to perhaps do another video to explain it further. But I would advise that you watch these videos over and over again to understand exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, because I just can't escape the fact that energies and spirits are becoming more staggered. So I cannot do a straightforward reading in terms of this is what is going to happen or these are the culprits. I can't point out to you the culprits that you want to hear because the culprits have been changing. It's no longer just it's no longer just someone like Meghan Markle being the bad guy. It's those who supported her, be it in the physical or spiritually. And it's those who supported her, be it in the physical or spiritually. Yeah. So it's very staggered, it's very nuanced, but that's the world in which we're going into. It makes karma easier to reach those who it needs to reach, whether good karma or bad karma. But there we go. Yeah. So please do look after yourselves. And again, let me know if you don't understand this or if you have a problem with anything that I have said. And I will clarify exactly what I mean. One final thing. I will not tolerate any trolls in these readings because I'm very aware, again, touching on the spirits and the energies of the Cambridge fans, a lot of whom I've had in my inbox, in my emails, sending me messages that are passive aggressive. I can see through you. I can read through you. I don't tolerate passive aggressive attitude. If you want to be rude outrightly so that I can block you, or so that I can, if I feel sorry for you and I can see that your heart is in the right place, or that you just want to know the truth, but you're feeling very frustrated with what's been happening, I will explain things to you in a patient manner. But if you come at me with an aggressive spirit and with a spirit of just stubbornness, of not wanting to learn, or one of disdain, as if you disdain my readings, but you keep coming to watch, then I will deal with you, not just physically, but in the spiritual realm as well. Because you can't attack my spirit and be getting away with it. I will not tolerate it. Yeah. So I'm going to stop the reading here. Thank you guys very much for watching this, and I will see you, I guess, in the next videos, whatever they might be. Bye.